Bula Vinaka, this is Pacific Waves from RNZ Pacific. I'm Elisha Foon. Coming up.
Because our people are identifying themselves in three ways: Indian, Fijian Indian, and one Fijian.
The 145th anniversary of the arrival of Girmit indentured labourers from India to Fiji is being marked this week. Also,
it's the morally right thing to do to support children. The question that we wanted to answer is it also a smart investment?
A new report by World Vision reveals only 5% of global aid targets children, and Vanuatu is still open for business despite the national carrier's woes. The 145th anniversary of Girmit Day is being celebrated across Fiji and New Zealand this week. It marks the arrival of Girmit indentured labourers from India to Fiji under British colonial rule on May 14, 1879. More than 60,000 people from India were brought to Fiji to work in the sugarcane plantations, enduring extreme hardship in a foreign land. While some returned, many chose to stay and call Fiji their home by raising families, working and contributing to the Fiji economy and its overall growth. The term Girmit is coined from the word agreement, the binding document between the workers and the British. They are collectively referred to as Girmites. I spoke with the president of Fiji Girmit Foundation, Krish Naidu, about the debate around the Girmit identity and why Girmites want to be officially recognised by the New Zealand government as Pacific people.
Having a common day where we have a public holiday allows everyone in Fiji and the diaspora globally to reflect on Girmit and what Girmitians have contributed towards Fiji and the descendants of Girmitians. So I think it's also a way to basically acknowledge their contribution, but also to bring people together, that we are one community and our ancestors worked really hard to provide Fiji what it is today. So we are hoping that the Girmit Day, the annual holidays, continue to bring the community together, to unite the community together as one nation, and to recognize, appreciate, but also to celebrate our diversity and differences.
What change needs to happen for Fijian Indians to be recognised and classified as Pacific? Is that something that you're for, or would you rather they be classified as Asian? Because right now most Fijian Indians don't get access to the same benefits as many Pasifika do. Some universities are changing things, but it does come down to a government level recognising whether people in the Girmit community are Pacific or not. So having those tough conversations and figuring out their own identity, how do they move forward?
Yes, identity is a personal thing for a lot of people, but as a community, you also have a collective identity. And, we are proud to have Indian heritage. We're proud of our roots to India. And we're also proud that our ancestors have grown, contributed, and even died in Fiji. For a lot of our people, we have very strong emotional connection to Fiji and to the Pacific. The key question really is, regardless of whether you call yourself a Indo-Fijian or a Fijian, what is the role of a ministry Pacific? And who is the Ministry of Pacific for? Are Fijian Indians also part of the ministry? Can we access support? Can we access resources? Are we part of the policy making? And that is something which needs a clear answer, and hopefully the current government will give that answer.
Do you believe that should change? It sounds like you do.
In reality, there's different thoughts on this. In reality, we also have a blended identity. We have, depending on your definition of identity, ethnicity, we can fit in a number of areas. We can comfortably fit in the Pacific, but we also have a Indian heritage. So we have links to India through our ancestors. And when it comes to the classification with the census, Fijian Indians or Fiji Indians at the moment are being classified as Asians. And hopefully, once the results are out from the last census, there is a process which Tax New Zealand can put up to ensure that if they have, ticked or identified themselves Fiji Indians, that it gets recognized. There's two different issues here. One is about the Ministry of Pacific, and the other issue is the general debate around identity. Some people also say we are not Fijians or Fijians, we're all Fijians. There's that going on as well. So there's an identity thing going on. At the same time, there is this Ministry of Pacific. Who are they for? We all acknowledge that people have a right to choose whatever they want. We all understand that. But the broader question is that, I can also take Chinese if I want, but it doesn't make me Chinese, you know what I mean? Broader question is that Fiji Indians, who are descendants of migrants from the Pacific, why can't they be part of the Pacific community? There are people who are taking Fijian in the census form that includes Fijian Indians. Then the ministry take to use for the policy making, which already includes our people, for those who have ticked the Fijian box. Because our people are identifying themselves in three ways: Indian, Fijian Indian, and one Fijian. So some Fijian Indians we've talked to during the census and after census, they've said, we've ticked Fijian because in Fiji, everyone is a Fijian now. There's a nationality. So there are people who are confused between nationality and ethnicity. Then there are some people, all the people we talked to, and they said, we are proud Hindustani Indian. And then some people have identified themselves as Fijian and Fijian Indian. Our data is sitting across these three identification areas, which makes it difficult to pull the accurate statistic around our people. It will be interesting to see if the census result, which comes out this month, is the Fijian numbers higher than the Fijian Indian numbers. Because we know that Fijian Indians are more in this country than Fijians. But if most of our people have ticked Fijian, then we'll see the difference.
A new report by World Vision reveals only 5% of global aid targets children, despite children making up close to half of aid-receiving populations. It found 7% focuses on general improvements that can also indirectly help children, while the remaining 88% goes into economic and other projects. World Vision's New Zealand National Director Grant Belden told Caleb Fotheringham aid that targets children has a powerful ripple effect.
The report was commissioned because World Vision's seen that the decades of progress that have been made on survival, on education, on protection, things like that, for children have stalled in many parts of the world, and in a lot of places they've actually gone backwards. And we know that children are amongst the most vulnerable. They're vulnerable if they're missing school, if they're not getting nutrition and they're getting stunted, if they're drinking dirty water. All of those things have lifelong consequences for children. And we've long known that it's the morally right thing to do to support children and target support and help to children. The question that we wanted to answer is it also a smart investment? And so that's what this report looks at.
Your report, it says that only 5% of aid directly targets children. Where is the rest of the funding going?
That's right, 5% directly targeting children. So that's things like immunisation or schooling, things that are specifically aimed at supporting children. Then there's another 7% that focus on general improvements that help children, things like infrastructure, say general health clinics that include, that of course will benefit children as well as others. And then you have the whole rest, the other 88% of global aid, much of which is going into economic and other projects where it's pretty hard to draw a direct line to benefiting children.
So what will be the impact if aid is more focused on children specifically?
So the report, which we've done together with Ernst & Young, analyses a huge number of development programs around the world and looks at the outcome. And it finds that for aid that is targeted to children, there's an incredible tenfold return on that. That doing things like, for example, girls' education will have impact down not just to those children, but to their lives as adults, to the communities that they live in, and to future generations as well. Likewise, interventions around nutrition. We know that in some parts of the Pacific, there are real issues with stunting for children, that the negative impacts of stunting for children and the communities really last a lifetime. So the interventions that address those have a huge payback, which is really encouraging to see in this report, and should be a real encouragement for governments to invest in child-focused development assistance.
In the context of the Pacific region, and you already mentioned nutrition and the importance of that, but why is it so important that children are more targeted in the Pacific?
The Pacific has a very high proportion of children and young people. Half the population in the Pacific is aged under 23 years old. So all of the things that are in this report will be especially so for the Pacific. If you look at a country like PNG, and I mentioned before the issue of stunting, which is sadly very common in many parts of PNG because of lack of nutrition. There's real changes that can be made. So World Vision's been working in various parts of Papua New Guinea, such as Bougainville, on helping communities to give children really nutrient-dense meals, and has achieved a big reduction in stunting rates there. Those things will have a lifetime impact, and those are issues that are common in very many Pacific countries.
Are you hopeful, Grant, that aid targeting children will improve?
Yes, absolutely. I think this makes a very strong case for it, that the population of children and youth, particularly in the Pacific, where most New Zealand aid money goes, is large and rising. So this is not only the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do for New Zealand and for other countries too.
The Lord Mayor of Vanuatu's capital, Port Vila, is urging international travellers not to let the national carrier's woes discourage them from travelling to Vanuatu. Air Vanuatu entered into voluntary liquidation last week, cancelling all of its international and domestic services, affecting hundreds of travellers. The liquidators, Ernest and Young Australia, say they will conduct safety and maintenance checks before the resumption of normal operations. Port Vila Mayor Steve Keel says the cancellations have had a big impact on locals and visitors alike, but he hopes the airline's problems do not stop visitors to Vanuatu. He told Koroi Hawkins Port Vila and destinations across the country are still very much open for business.
Yes, the airline is having a big issue and is affecting most of the people, especially investors and people traveling in. Not only in the tourism sector, but it's everyone that's all over Vanuatu, especially all the passengers. Everyone are affected, and not only that. People are still putting the choice with the local airline, the Air Vanuatu, and this is the choice of the people, and especially the people of Vanuatu. When they travel, they choose the local airline, Air Vanuatu, and right now, with the issue currently going on, it's affecting a lot of citizens and people also around Port Vila.
And in your capacity as Lord Mayor, what kind of strategies are you having to consider in terms of hosting people in the city?
Yes, this is a big issue, and it's been dealt with in the higher level, the government level. And within my capacity, we are not looking directly into the Air Vanuatu issue, but we are just trying to help the people. Help the people as in accommodate the people in the city, while many are still waiting to get on the plane to their various countries and all that. Residents that are planning to travel, I asked one which I've wanted to travel to through Air Vanuatu, but currently I can't, and I'm traveling to another airline. We want to provide the service of just hosting people in the city while waiting for anything else to happen. We wanted the airline to be up again as soon as possible, and this is again beyond our powers. But within my capacity as mayor, I'm just kindly inviting people and all the residents and whoever that got stranded to be around the city, enjoy their time in the city, and whatever they can do in the city, just do it. But this issue is just beyond our powers within the city. Yeah.
You mentioned it being a critical impact. What kind of impacts are you seeing?
Vanuatu recently has been nominated like the first happiest place on the planet again for 2024. But again, seeing this the good name of Vanuatu around the world. And with this issue of Air Vanuatu again, this is not putting a good image on this happiest place on earth. So we need to work together with the government and all the other people, especially whoever involved in the dealing of Air Vanuatu and whatever comes next. We want to put back Air Vanuatu. We want our local airlines to come back again. That's all what the people of Vanuatu and especially Port Vila want to see. Yeah.
And I saw a sentiment that although the airline is affected, business and tourism and all of this is very much still open for business in Vanuatu. Is that what you're seeing as well in Villa?
Yes. Again, tourism business is running as normal. Again, like as the mayor of Port Vila City, I'm just putting an open invitation to everyone. Feel free to welcome to travel through any airline. Things will get better for Vanuatu or the local airline. But we invite everyone to come for tourist invitation, for business thing and anything. You are welcome. Investors and whoever that wanted to come into Port Vila, we welcome them into Port Vila. Like I said, the tourism is affected, but we still welcome. We still put on our smiles and welcome people to be part of our community in Port Vila or anywhere in Vanuatu they choose.
Thank you, Thomas Wantok. Thank you for time, Blue.
Welcome. Thank you so much.
In response to the grounding of Air Vanuatu's fleet, other regional carriers such as Virgin Australia and Fiji Airways have increased their services to and from the country. A Fiji-born film producer is looking to open the door for aspiring actors in his hometown. Anandu Naidu is preparing for his next feature film to be shot in Lambasa, where he grew up. Tiana Haxton has more.
Anandu Naidu dreams of creating more pathways for Pacific storytellers to enter the film industry. The filmmaker has been in Fiji to promote his latest movie, Stranded Pearl, where over 50% of the cast and crew were Cook Islanders. For his upcoming film, Naidu wants half the cast and crew to be Fijian talent. He's holding auditions for locals there to join the cast and crew.
We're passionate about bringing locals in and give them this opportunity. And we would not only give them opportunities, we would look at ways to train them to build that sustainable art that they can perform. Not just as a one-off, but where does it go from there? And that's what we want.
He says Fiji is full of potential in expanding pathways for young up-and-coming stars. The mayor of Lambasa agrees. Paul Jaduram says a film production in Lambasa will provide a multitude of opportunities for aspiring actors and filmmakers that have not been available before.
We have never had film coming to this part of the island. By doing this, filming in the north, these hidden talent will come out. That will be a great thing.
Naidu's next film is another romance with a hint of mystery, inspired by the sugar industry scene in Lambasa during the 70s and 80s. Those involved in the Fiji Sugar Corporation were seen as the elite in the community, and this production looks to explore that dynamic. He says the location choice itself is an untapped gem, and he looks forward to his next film capturing the beauty of Lambasa.
The script encompasses this place. It's got the heart of this place, and the writer has worked around using Lambasa and all the elements of it. So now what we want to do is give it substance.
As he visited his old primary school and family home, Naidu has tears in his eyes as he sees his dream to produce a film in his hometown slowly coming to life.
I'm so emotional because if I can do this, it will be my dream come true. We'll be giving it back to the place, and it's beautiful here. I mean, this place deserves it.
With scripting complete and lead actors currently in the initial reading stages, he's excited to announce filming is earmarked for the middle of next year.
That's Pacific Ways for today. To listen back, head over to rnz.co.nz/Pacific. We're also on Spotify, Apple and iHeartRadio. From myself and the RNZ Pacific team, tō whā soifua.